Hello everyone, welcome to Manifest IAS. Today we are going to see the CSAT paper of this year, that is CSAT paper 2020, and in that we will be going to see the number system problems. This year, unlike the other years, the weightage for the number system has been very significant because we find nearly 25 questions or more than that in the entire paper. So of 80 papers, 80 questions, usually the questions related to quantitative aptitude used to be around 30. This year, that number has gone to more than 35. In that, again, if you look at the problems associated with number system purely, there were more than 25 in number. As usual, UPSC can give weightage to any one chapter significantly, or it can give disproportionate number of questions in paper. So like that we have seen many a times from syllogisms or from data sufficiency. So like that, UPSC is not sticking to only the proportionate problems from each chapter. So any day we can expect very good number from this number system problems. Even if you look at trend after 2017, so you have seen many number system problems. These number system problems, they are associated with our knowledge which we had acquired during our high school days. But in the course of preparation, we tend to lose track and we fail to brush up those basics which we had learnt earlier. So in this paper, like there are three things which are very important. One is brushing up your basics. Second is to practice the papers, no matter how good you are in the subject. Then finally, third one is studies. For clearing this paper, we require mere 33%, that is 66 marks. But time and again, the UPSC has proved that this is not a cakewalk. So people are becoming more cautious about this paper. In 2015, this paper was made qualifying, and in the year 2015, the paper was normal. In 2016, again the paper was normal. But from 2017, this paper has been made difficult. So UPSC is putting a lot of googlies and bouncers to the students. And there are many inherent problems or inherent issues that are pursued by the students because they tend to give more than 95% of their time to only GS. So they tend to neglect this paper. So our humble request from this end would be to engage yourself into this preparation of that paper, no matter how good you were in this subject earlier during your school days, high school days, and college days, but without the brushing up, without the practice, without strategizing of the paper, you cannot clear this paper. So this year, many good students who were scoring more than 120, 130, so they had cleared the prelims margin in the first paper, but they could not clear the second paper, and again they have to wait for a year. Let us look into some of the problems that have been asked in the last year paper, that is in a CSAT 2020 paper. In that, as I told, there are more than 25 questions which are associated with number system. And once you get thorough in this number system, even this will help you in other applied parts also, like percentages, ratios, averages, profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest, permutation and combination. So in that aspect also, the number system becomes very important. And in today's session, I will be solving the questions which have been asked in the last year paper. So I'll be going through the paper one by one, the questions one by one. The first question, this asks about how many zeros are there at the end of the following product. end of the following product. In such questions, what is the trick? Trick is like in these numbers which have been given here, we can find out how many clubs of 2 and 5. How many clubs of 2 and 5? So basically, the factors of these numbers we have to see, and in that, how many 2s and how many 5s we are finding out. And these many groups of 2 and 5 will be the number of zeros. The basic maths behind it is for getting the product as 10 or to get 1 0 at the end, we have to have 1 2 and 1 5. So this is the basic necessity. So according to that, let us examine like how many 5s and how many 2s are there in the factors of these given numbers. Here I'll be writing number of 2s and number of 5s here. So if you take 5, there is 1 5. There is 1 5 as the factor of 5. Then if you take 10, then 1 2 and 1 5. 1 2 and 5. If you take 15, there is 1 5. There is no factor of here. Then when it comes to 20, 2 into 2 into 5, so there are two 2s and 1 5. Then 25, there are 2 5s. There are 2 5s. Then 30, it is the product of 2 into 3 into 5. So 1 2 and 1 5. Coming to 35, only 1 5. There is no factor of 2. Then 40, there are 3 2s here. That is 2 into 2 into 2, then 5. So basically 1 2, 1 more and 1 more. So 3 2s. Then in 40, there is only 1 5. Then coming to 45, only 1 5 is there. Only 1 5 is there. Coming to 50, it is the product of 2 into 5 into 5. So 1 more 2 here and 2 5s here. 2 5s. Then coming to 55, only 1 5. Coming to 60, it is the product of 2 into 2 into 3 into 5. So there are 2 2s and 1 5 here. Then all are over. So here totally we have got 10 2s and we have got 13 5s. 10 2s and 13 5s. So if you make a club of 2 and 5, then we have 10 such clubs. We have 10 such clubs. Other 3 5s, like we have to leave them out because the complementary 2 is not there. So here totally group of 2 and 5 are 10 in number. So hence the number of zeros that come in this product will be 10. So this is the small trick, that is number of 2s and number of 5, and we have to make club of them, and how many clubs we can make. So that is the number of zeros, and this is very much applicable in such questions. And many questions of this type are asked in the CSAT paper and also any competitive exam. Then next question, let x, y, z be a 3-digit number where x plus y plus z is not a multiple of 3. So you can take any random number. You can take any random number where the product, where the sum of x, y, z is not equal to, not a multiple of 3. I'll take an example, 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4. So if you add these numbers, it is 8. 8 is not divisible by 3. Then 134, that is 134 is not divisible by 3. Then if you take by shuffling these numbers x, y, z, so x, y, z is 134. Then I'll take y, z, x, y, z, x, y, z, x, that is 341. Then you take z, x, y, z, x, y, that is 413. Now, sum of these, so that is 134, 341 plus 413. Then take the sum, it will be 888. Sum will be 888 because for one place you are adding all the numbers. For other place again you are adding all the numbers. Here see x, y, z. Here see y, z, x, z, x. So in all these places you are getting the same number. When you get the same number in all these places, then this particular number or this sum is divisible by 111 for sure. Take any example. So here the trick is 111. 111 is such a number which has two factors, that is 37 and 3. So 37 into 3 is 111. So upon this we have two more factors, that is 1 and 111. So there are totally 4 factors here. So hence whatever be the sum here of this fashion, whatever may be the sum, that will be divisible by 37 and 3. Here we have to see it is not divisible by, it is divisible by 3 for sure. It is divisible by 37 for sure. But in all the cases, if you take in all the case, like if you take the sum here, x plus y plus z, that is also equal to 8. So this particular number will also be divisible by the sum of the digits. So one is there, 37 and 3 divisible, and sum of these numbers or these digits, even that will be a factor of the total sum. Hence the answer would be 9. So this is not divisible by 9. This is not divisible by 9 in all the cases. Hence our answer becomes 9. Next question. Let P, Q, R and S be natural numbers. Natural numbers begin from 1 to infinity, such that P minus 2016, Q plus 2017, R minus 2018 and S plus 2019, which one of the following is the largest natural number? So we have to take P, Q, R and S. So which is the largest number among them? You look at the processes. Here P is getting subtracted by something, and here also R is getting subtracted by something. That means if you look at the value of P and R, they are definitely more than that of S and Q, because to get this difference, you have to make the sum. Then definitely P is larger than Q and R is larger than S. Now our benefit of will be between the P and R, because after subtracting something from P and R, we are getting the value which is equal to Q plus 2017 or S plus 2019. So here P and R are larger in relation with Q and S. So among P and R, if you look at P minus 2016 is equal to P minus 2007 equal to R minus 2018. So here P minus 2016 is equal to R minus 2018. Here, if you subtract only 2016, you are getting the sum or the difference equal to R minus 2018. So in this case, if you take 2018 this side, 2018 minus 2016 is equal to R minus P. So here it is equal to 2. 2 is equal to R minus P. That means R is greater than P, or R is equal to P plus 2. R is equal to P plus 2. But looking at this expression only, you can easily tell By subtracting 2016 from P, we are getting the difference equal to R minus 2018. Here we are subtracting less, here we are subtracting more. Even after subtracting more, we are getting the same number. So that is why R is bigger here. So this is all application of mind. If you look at things and if you take them as four different characters or variables, and if you keep on reiterating, or if you keep on expanding that or simplifying that, it will simply waste your time. So you have to apply your mind here. Hence, the answer is R here. The next question: how many 5-digit prime numbers can be obtained by using all the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 without repetition of digits? So here they are asking how many 5-digit prime numbers. So if you take 5 digits and the number has to be prime. Number has to be prime means it should not be divisible by any other number than 1 and itself. So we have certain rules. If a number is ending by any even number, then that number is definitely divisible by 2. Hence, that number is not a prime. So number ending with this 2 and 4, number ending with this 2 and 4 will not be a prime number. Even a number ending with 5, cannot be called as prime number except 5. So here what happens, number ending with 5 are definitely divisible by 5. Hence, even this can be considered for the last digits. Now left one are 3 and 1. Yes, the numbers ending with 1, 3, 7 and 9. Only these numbers ending with 1, 3, 7, 9. So they will be prime numbers. They are the prime suspects for finding the prime of that number. So here 1 and 3 are the suspect. But again, as we came up with this idea that the number should not end with even number. So similarly, for the testing of divisibility by 3 and 9, we do one test. That is, we add all the digits given here. And we try to divide by 3 or 9. So let us see here, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. If you add them, the sum will be 15. 15 is divisible by 3. So take these digits and construct any number. Construct any possible numbers with these digits. All of them will be divisible by 3. Because sum of those digits is divisible by 3. Hence, we can't construct any number which is a prime with these given numbers. Without repetition, we cannot construct any prime number out of these, because the sum of these 5 digits is divisible by 3. Hence, the answer is 0. So basically, this is the basic knowledge of divisibility test. So first of all, you will look for the even end numbers, and secondly, you will go for the sum of the numbers. When you do this, your basic test for 2 and 3 will get over, and you will get a lot of idea with the testing of 2 and 3. So whether we have to proceed for 5, whether you have to proceed for other number, that will be decided based upon the divisibility test of 2 and 3. So for any number with respect to prime and any number with respect to its divisibility, first test for 2 and 3. You will get a lot of idea. So hence this idea, we came up with a solution that is 0. Otherwise, you will go on forming the numbers and you will go on dividing them, or there is no shortcut when you write all the numbers there, and the number of numbers what we get here are nearly 120 numbers. We cannot do the testing for all those 120 numbers. We have to go ahead the trick. Here the trick is divisibility of 2 and divisibility of 3. That's it. Next question. In the sum given like this, in the sum given like this. So this registered mark, it is, I mean, some blank. This is kind of a blank. And they are asking, what is the value of this R? What is the value of this R? So for timing, like this is a misprint somewhere here, misprint. So this is a extra this thing. So don't worry about this. Okay, let us write them down. I'll write blank for this R. I'll write blank for this R. So this plus 1 and black and plus 5 and blank plus 2 blanks plus blank and 1 equal to 1 blank blank. 1 blank. So here we have to find one number such that 4 times of it plus 1. 4 times of it plus 1 would give us the same thing. So here 4 into something plus 1 should give us some number ending with n. So here basically you can come out with the conclusion that this n will be odd number. This n will be odd number because this sum 4 into n will be even plus 1. This will be odd. So now look for only the odd numbers which are given here. Odd numbers are 3 and 5. Odd numbers are 3 and 5. So try to substitute 5 here. 4 5s are 20 plus 1 is equal to 21. But this number not ending with 5. Hence 5 cannot be the value of that blank space. Now only thing that is left with us is 3. Only thing that is left with us is 3. Hence if you put 3 here, 3 plus 13 plus 53 plus 33 plus 31. If you make the sum, you will get 133. Hence, the answer is 3. Here, one small trick, that is, what is the ending number? What is the ending number? It has to be odd. By my calculation, it came to be odd. Then, with that knowledge, what we can do is, we can eliminate the even numbers given in the options and try to verify all other odd numbers which are given in the options. Hence, putting 5, we failed, but putting 3, we got the answer. Hence, that has to be the thing. Here, the trick is finding the last digit. Next question. Next question. If you have two straight sticks of length 7.5 meter and 3.5 feet, 7.5 feet and 3.25 feet, what is the minimum length you can measure? So minimum length. So when they ask for minimum length and when they have given two entities, then we are going for HCF. Whenever you are trying to find a minimum number out of the given numbers, then it is straight away HCF. If you find out the problem as LCM problem or HCF problem, half of the problem is over. So here is the HCF. So basically you are dividing the given numbers. So here two decimal numbers are there, 7.5 and 3.25. So we have to find out the HCF of this. So here, simple thing, what you have to do is get rid of this point. So here one place to the right of point and here two place to the right of point and you jump these two places. So this number will be 325. Similarly, you have to jump two places here. So we have to assume 0 here. Hence, the number becomes 750. Now find the HCF of this. At the very outset, I can say this number is divisible by 25 because the end digits are 5 and 0. So definitely this number is divisible by 25. So this number is also divisible by 25. Straight away I will try divide by 25. So 25 threes are, then 0. 25 ones are, then 25 threes are. Now 30 and 13, they don't have anything in common. So we don't have a common factor for 30 and 13. Hence our HCF becomes 25. But problem is not over here, because here we had done some modification with respect to decimal point. We had jumped point 2 places right of it. Here again we have to jump that back. When we jump that back, this will become 0.25. 0.25, hence the answer is B. So it is a simple problem of HCF, and this HCF problem is made a bit complicated by including the decimal points. Hence we should know how to find the decimal points HCF. It is a simple thing. Get rid of the point first, then find out the HCF, give back the point. And while taking out the point and giving the point, you have to mind that the number of places that you have jumped, so those many places you have to jump back in the solution. Hence the answer is B here. Next question. A simple mathematical operation in each number of the sequence 14, 18, 20, 24, 30 and 32 results in a sequence with respect to prime numbers. Which one of the following is the next number in the sequence? Here most of the people will get confused with this mathematical operation. What exactly is this basic or simple mathematical operation? This is either addition, subtraction, multiplication or division. So we have to do some of these operations with the given numbers so that we get a prime number. So here the numbers are 14, 18, 20, 24, 30 and 32. First of all, let us rule out the operations. If you do any multiplication process to this, if you do any multiplication process to these numbers, the numbers would not remain as prime number. Definitely after multiplying with some of the numbers, definitely you get non-prime numbers. So multiplication is ruled out here. Multiplication is ruled out. When you think of division, all these numbers can be divisible by 2. They are divisible by 2. But what all you will get? 7, 9, 10, 12, 15 and 16. But basically 15 and 16 or 12, they are not prime numbers. And you cannot divide by number more than 2, because when you go to other number more than 2, then one of them after dividing, that will become decimal or fraction. So we cannot do, because the minimum difference between any two consecutive numbers is 2. So you cannot divide the given numbers by a number more than 2. Hence this is also ruled out. Only with respect to plus and minus, we have to do something. So one thing, it is always better to go with minus, because when you subtract something from these numbers, you will get smaller numbers. Those smaller numbers are easily verifiable compared to the bigger numbers for its prime nature. Okay, so let us see here 14. If I subtract by 1, it will become 13. Then here 17, here 19, here 23, here 29 and here 31. Aren't they prime numbers? Yes, they are prime numbers. So here simply by subtracting 1 from all these numbers, will get us the prime numbers. For the other number, let's try to subtract by 1. This will become 33. No, it is not a prime number. It will become 35. It is not a prime number. It will become 37. Yes, it is a prime number, but check for 40 also, it will become 39. Hence, 37 is only the prime number that we are getting. Hence, the answer is C. Here the trick is what? Eliminating multiplication and division. at the first place. Then trying with subtraction first. Again, when trying with subtraction, if it is not 1, then definitely we have to go for 3. Then if that is not possible, we have to go for 5. So such iterations are required. But here at the first iteration only, we have got the answer. So that is C. Next question. One page is torn from a booklet whose pages are numbered in the usual manner, starting from first page as 1. So 1 to n. 1 to n, we are doing what? 1 to n, we are doing the addition of that. The sum of the numbers on the remaining pages, sum of the number of the remaining pages is 195. The torn page contains which of the following numbers? Here this problem is second level of problem. It is a second level of problem. Here what we have to understand as the basic point or the trick is the sum of first n natural numbers. Sum of first n natural numbers. So here sum of n or sum of first n natural numbers is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. N into n plus 1 by 2. So let us not worry about the torn page here. Let us not worry about the torn page. So here we will try to match. We'll try to match the sum as more than 195. More than 195 precisely because one page is torn and we are not counting the number written on that page. So hence we have tried for the number which is above 195 as the sum. So if you take this n into n plus 1 by 2, n plus 1 by 2, somewhere greater than 195, greater than 195. So what it becomes? N into n plus 1 is greater than 390. Is greater than 390. Now, if you go for the quadratic equations, that is n into n, n square, then n into 1, that is n. So n square plus n greater than 390. If you go for that process, simply it will eat your energy away. So what you have to do is, you have to do some trial and error method. You have to do some trial and error method here. So take one number and take one number more than that or its consecutive number and try to get the product more than 390. So you will, here I will try to take number as 20, and here the trick is go to the nearest square to this number. Go to the nearest number which is square. So here 400 is the nearest square because we are getting a sum which is closer to n square. Sum which is closer to n square because n into n is n square. So we are going for that value of n whose square is somewhere around 390. So if I take 400 as that square, then my n would be 20. So I will try with 20. 20 into 21, it is giving me the product of 420. It is giving me the product of 420. 420. Hence, what happens here? This 420 is more than 390. Is more than 390. I'll try to go for some other number lesser than 20. Let us check. 19 into 20, it will become 380. So this can be ruled out completely. This can be ruled out completely because it is not more than 395. In another case, if I take 21, if I multiply by 22, hence it will become 432. So this is also a chance. This is also a chance. Then they are asking what? The torn page contains which of the following numbers? Torn page contains which of the following numbers? So here somewhere the option, they are not correct. One page is torn. So when one page is torn, so let us not worry about this. Maybe the options have been mistakenly printed here. So let us find out that page. Let us find out that page. So here 420, if you take 420, hence the n is equal to 20. So there are totally 20 pages. There are totally 20 pages. And if you take the sum as 432, then basically the n is equal to 21. N is equal to 21. So here we'll try to do the calculation by like this. So when n is equal to 20, our sum is equal to 420. When n is equal to 21, our sum is equal to 432. So what we have to do to get the sum as 195, but here if you take n as 20, then sum is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. So that is 20 to 21 divided by 2. That is equal to 2 ones are 2 tens are 210. Here this is 210. So why I had written sum as equal to 420? Because this sum was only n into n plus 1. This was only n into n plus 1. Here also this was only n into n plus 1 because 2 we had taken it to the other side. So what becomes here? The total sum could have been 210. Total sum could have been 210. And if one page is missing from that, the total has to be 195. So here, this is the sum of all the numbers from 1 to 20, and among them, one page is missing. So if you find the difference of these two, you will get the missing page. That missing page is nothing but the page number 15. So page number 15 is missing. So out of 210, if you subtract 15, you will get 195. So here in this problem, the trick is what? Trick is nothing but the sum of n natural numbers, or sum of first n natural numbers. So that is n into n plus 1 by 2. If you go with this, then definitely we'll get the value for n. Then after getting the value for n, find the sum and find the difference between the correct sum and the wrong sum. Wrong sum is nothing but the sum without the page number 15. So hence the answer is 15 there. Next question. Let A, B, C and D to F be four numbers where each letter represents a different digit greater than 3. So here every number is greater than 3. Every digit is greater than 3. So let us try to write these numbers: A, 3, B, C. Then D, E, 2, F. So totally here we have used 8 digits. And what all are the digits which are not known? A, B, C, D, E and F. So 6 digits are not known. And these 6 digits are more than 3. So how many digits in our number system in single digits, like which are more than 3? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And they are unique. So 6 numbers and 6 letters are there. So A, B, C, D, E, F have to find their value somewhere in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And what is the sum here? The total sum is 15902. 15902. So here again the tricks what we can apply here is, finally C and F should give me the value, should give me the value of 12, should give me the value of 12, not 2, because if you add two digits which are more than 3, you will not get the sum as 2. So definitely you have to look for the sum of 12. So sum of 12. So out of these numbers, which all two numbers can give you the sum of 12? Sum of 12. So 4 and 8 can give you the value of 12. 5 and 7 can give you the value of 12. So basically, in any case, if you add them, you will get the sum as 12, and 1 carry here, and 2 here. So let us not worry about C and F right now. C and F will one among this 4, 5, 7, 8. Then look at B, 2 and 1. What is the sum possible here? 0 can't be the sum. Then the next is 10. Next is 10. Even 20 can't be the sum. Maximum value of this B can be 9. 9 plus 2 plus 1, it can be 12. So here the sum of B, 2 and 1 will be equal to 10 only. So in that case, B's value is equal to 7. B's value is equal to 7. So what I'll do, I will write 7 here. I'll write 7 here. So one thing is over. So 7 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 10. So one more carry here. 3 plus E plus 1 is equal to 9. It cannot be 19. It cannot become 19 because E cannot assume the value of 15. So 3 plus E plus 1 will give me 9. In that case, this E will become 5. E will become 5. E will become 5. So hence E's value is equal to 5. E's value is equal to 5. So here B's value is 7 and E's value is 5. Then the numbers left for C and F are definitely 4 and 8. Because C and F, either they have to be 4 and 8 or they have to be 5 and 7. So here 1 4 and 1 8. Which is 4, which is 8 doesn't matter here, because we are making the sum anyways. So what the values left for A and D? Values left for A and D are 6 and 9. Values left for A and D are 6 and 9. What they are asking? What is the difference between A and D? Answer is 3. Answer is 3. Here the trick or the basic thing that we have to know is the trick of this carry. Trick of this carry. The carry here cannot be more than 1. Cannot be more than 1. When you are adding two numbers, definitely there will not be more than 9. Hence, the carry value will not be more than 1. So always when you are adding two numbers, the carry that we get is always 1. With that trick, we can come to the conclusion here. So hence the answer is 3. But this is kind of a medium level problem, or you can take it as one of the toughest problems in the upper. Hence the answer is 3. Next question. This year, the questions of this kind, that is data sufficiency problems. So usually the data sufficiency problems, they come in the reasoning part, but in this year they have asked as part of quantitative aptitude also. So they are attached with the number system and they are asking you the data sufficiency along with the number system. So this part or the data sufficiency part along with number system has made this particular paper as unconventional one. Earlier, the data sufficiency in number system had never come. So these were the answers or the googlies that were put by UPSC this time. Nearly 8 to 10 questions like that have been asked. So it will put the aspirants into the dilemma whether to go ahead with that or not, whether they know about this question or not, or they will be panicked for sure with such questions. That is what has been done. But these are one of the easiest problems that we have. So let us look into this problem. Two statements, S1 and S2 are given below, followed by a question. So question is what? Are there more than 100 figures in that book? So this is a question based on these two statements. One of the statements says there are not more than 2 figures on any page of 51 page book. 51 pages book. The first one says there are not more than 2. Not more than 2. That means 1 or 2. 1 or 2. In this case, if you take the minimum number of figures in the book, then 51 into 1, so 51 figures will be there. If you take the maximum number of figures, 51 into 2, so 104. 104. So the number of figures in the book will be in the range of 51 and 104. The minimum number is 51 and the maximum number is 104. There is at least one figure every page. There is at least one figure every page. Yeah, that we have taken. Here, I would have taken like not more than 2 figures. That means it would have been 0 or 1 or 2. 0 or 1 or 2. But if you take the 0, then the number of this one will be 0. So 0 to 104. But in the second statement, they have told there is at least one figure. So 51 to 104 will be the number of figures. And they are asking, are there more than 100 figures in the book? Can we say that there were more than 100 figures in the book? Can we say with these two statements? What they have given, both S1 and S2 are sufficient to answer the question. See, even after knowing both the statements, the number of figures are somewhere between 51 and 104 here. So we cannot answer with any other statement. So neither 1 nor 2 are sufficient here. So look at the second, S1 alone is sufficient? No, it is not sufficient. S1 and S2 together are not sufficient. Yes, S1 and S2 together are not sufficient to answer this question. S2 alone, no, that is also not sufficient. Hence the answer is C here. The number varies between 51 and 104. This is one of the simplest problem, but will trick you or it will fix you because you will overthink in that question. Consider the following data. Average marks in English by girls is 9. Average marks in English by boys is 8. And total average of the class is 8.8. Then average marks in Hindi is 8 and 7 respectively. So here they are asking what? This is girls and this is boys. Their average score is 9 and 8 respectively. But if you club both, their average is 8.8. Their average is 8.8. Only with this data, we can find out the ratio of number of girls to boys. So it is the application of mixture and allegations. So here simply take difference between 8 and 8.8. So this is 0.8 and take the difference between 8.8 and 9. This is simply 0.2. 0.8 to 0.2. So if you put the ratio, it is 4 to 1. 4 is to 1 is the ratio of boys and girls. It is the ratio of girls to boys. Girls are 4 in number, then boys are 1 in number. That is like the ratio, that is the simplest possible ratio that we have got. And similarly, if you apply here for girls into 4 and boys into 1, 8 into 4, this is equal to 32. 7 into 1, it is equal to 7. Hence, it will be 39. But total number 4 and 1 here, 39 by 5 is equal to 7.8. is equal to 7.8. This is the application of mixtures and integrations. This particular problem will fit into the applied version of arithmetic, that is mixture and allegations too, but I took it as a general arithmetic problem. So here the answer is 7.8. So here the trick is this X diagram, 9 and 8 as the averages of girls and boys. The mixed average is 8.8. So if you take the distance of the boys average and girls average respectively from the total average, you will get the ratio of girls to boys. So hence the answer is 7.8 here. Then two statements, S1 and S2 are given below, followed by a question. Let us look into the question first. If n is a unique natural number between 10 and 20, then what it is? We have to find out n's value. We have to find out the n's value. And that is between 10 and 20. So natural number between 10 and 20 means you have to take the numbers from 11 to 19. 11 to 19. Between 10 and 20, that means the numbers from 11 to 19. So in this case, let us look at the statements. N is a prime number. N is a prime number. So between 10 and 20 or from 11 to 19, there are four prime numbers: 11, 13, 17 and 19. Four possible values are there. So we cannot find out the answer just by the statement. Then n leaves a remainder of 1 when divided by 4. When divided by 4, n leaves a remainder of 1. So take these numbers and divide by 4. Only 13, both 13 and 17 will leave a remainder of 1 divided by 4. Because 4 3s are 12 plus 1 is equal to 13. 4 4s are 16 plus 1, then 17. So both these numbers will qualify the statement given by a statement given in the statement. So hence here also we cannot find out the value of n. They are exactly asking one value for n. So there are two values through second statement. Through first statement are four values. Again here both the statements are not sufficient to answer question. So here S1 and S2 together are not sufficient to answer the question. Hence the answer is D. Next question. Two statements Sn and S2 are given below with regard to numbers followed by a question. So here, which one of the following is correct? Okay. What are the two numbers? The question is, what are the two numbers? What are the two numbers? Their product is 21. Their product is 21. And they are asking the numbers, two numbers. So whether they have given natural number or whole number, like we don't know. So usually two numbers, their product is 21. So 21 means if you go to the factors of 21, 1 into 21 is possible, 3 into 7 is possible. So there are two sets of numbers. Either it can be 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. Their sum is 10. Yeah, now we are getting a thing. So here 3 plus 7 will be equal to 10. 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. So both the statements are required to find out the answer. Both the statements are required to find out the numbers. Hence, S1 and S2 together are sufficient to answer the question. But both the statements alone, they are not sufficient. Hence the answer is E here. Again a simple problem, but the data sufficiency part will trick you. Next, two statements are given below followed by two conclusions. All numbers are divisible by 2. Two statements are given followed by two conclusions. All numbers are divisible by 2. All numbers are divisible by 3. So from this you will get to know numbers are divisible by 2 and numbers divisible by 3. Definitely those numbers are divisible by 6 for sure. Because that is even number, then it is divisible by 3. Hence divide by 6. So all the numbers, their meaning are divisible by 6. Let us look at the conclusion. All the numbers are divisible by 6, correct. All the numbers are divisible by 6, correct. All the numbers are divisible by 4. So this cannot be true in all the cases. This cannot be true in all the cases, because I'll take one example, 18. 18 is divisible by 2, 18 is divisible by 3, but it is not divisible by 4. Hence, only conclusion 1 follows. Only conclusion 1 follows the given statements. Hence, answer is A here. Again, a very simple problem. Then, this is the problem of syllogisms. Don't worry. Then, how many integers are there between 1 and 100 which have 4 as a digit? So in that number, 4 is one digit, but are not divisible by 4. So very interesting. Number ending with 4, but not divisible by 4. So let us try to look at the numbers divisible by 4. So if the number is ending by 4, the tens digit number next to it or to its left, either it has to be 0, or it has to be 4, or it has to be 2, or it has to be 6, or it has to be 8. Why I am telling? Because when you are checking the divisibility test 4, then you are checking the last 2 digits. You are checking the last 2 digits. So 0 is divisible by 4, 24 is divisible by 4, 44 is divisible by 4, 64 is divisible by 4, and 84 is divisible by 4. So these are pakka. Otherwise, the numbers starting with 1 or any odd number and ending with 4, these are not divisible by 4. These are not divisible by 4. So these are divisible by 4. But in this, we have taken only those numbers which are ending with 4. Which are ending with 4. But what about the numbers starting with 4? Numbers starting with 4. So 4. So 41, 42, 43, you need not take odd numbers at all. You need not take the odd numbers at all, because they are anyways not divisible by 4. So now take only the even numbers attached with 4. So 42 here, 44, 46, 48. So these are the only numbers that we have to take. Anyways, 44 is considered. Don't count double. So already that has been counted here. Then here 42, is it divisible by 4? No. It's ending with 2 and 42. The last 2 digits are 42. 46 is also not divisible. Hence, you have to consider 48. You have to consider 48, but we have left one more number here, that is 40. We have left 40. 40 starting with 4, ending with 0. So 40 is divisible, 48 is divisible, and 04 is divisible, 24 is divisible, 44, 64, and 84. So totally there are 7 such numbers so far. There are 7 such numbers so far. How many integers are there between 1 and 100 which have 4 as the digit but are not divisible by 4? But are not divisible by 4. So let us examine in detail. So I will try to write those numbers which are ending with 4. One is 04, 14, 24, 34, 44, 54, 64, 74, 84, and 94. And the numbers starting with 4. So already I have taken 44 here. So 41, 42, and 43. So here 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. So these are the numbers, and they are asking which are not divisible. I'm sorry, which are not divisible. So here only we can take. So these 5 numbers are not divisible. These 5 numbers are not divisible. This is not divisible for 1. This is not divisible. This is not divisible. Here 3, here 4, and here 6. So 5 here and 6. So 11. Here only I get. So, but I had not seen not. So This can be a misnomer. So sometimes you will not see not the question paper. Sometimes that will be boldened and italicized in the paper, but sometimes they will not do that. So please give a special emphasis on not. So wherever not comes, please underline it. So with that case, so we are getting the numbers which are not divisible by 4 as 11. So hence the answer is 11. So when it has tricked me, it can trick anyone. So definitely try to look into the not aspect. So give special emphasis on that not. Next question, what is the largest number among the following? Largest number. So this is nothing but 1 by x to the power of minus 1. So when you do the simplification of it, so this will become 1 by x to the power of y, or this will simply become x to the power of y, x to the power of 5. So all these numbers you can write it in the form to the power of 6, 4 to the power of 3, and 3 to the power of 4, and 6 to the power of 2. Find their values. This is 64, this is 4 again, this is 81, and this is 36. So which one is the largest among them? Which one is the largest among them? Four to the power of 3, 6 to the power of 2, which is what is the largest number among them? What is the largest number among them? Hence, it is 81. So answer has to be C. Answer has to be C. So here trick is what? Writing it in a more simplified form. So that is the trick. Otherwise, it will trick you because you will go on solving all these things, okay, separately. But rather than that, write it in the simplest form and get the answer. So the trick is to get the complex surd into the simplest surd that is possible. Next question. The recurring decimal representation 1.272727. So whenever 2727, the recurrence of this comes, so definitely it is the value of 3 by 11. You take it for granted. Whenever 0.27 recurrence comes, it is nothing but 3 by 11. For that matter, even if you take 0.18 like this, 0.18, so this is nothing but 2 by 11. So here 1 is there. So here already like 11 will come because 11 into 1 is 11 and this 3. So this is 14. So 14 by 11. But you should not be blind about other options also. So 14 by 11. Is there any equal to 14 by 11? So multiply by 9, it will be 11 into 9, 99. 14 into 9, 126. So 126 is not there here. Hence the value of 1.272727 recurring is nothing but 14 by 11. So 13 by 11 would give us the value 1.18181818. So this is the value. So the trick is here, whenever you divide some number by 11, such recurring decimal will come into the picture. Recurring, for example, 1 by 11. This is nothing but 0.09 like this. 2 by 11, this is nothing but 0.181818. So 3 by 11 is 0.2727. So that trick here that you have to understand. Even if you divide by 99, then also you will get, but first try the simplest, and if you look for the equivalent, there is no equivalent for 14 by 11, hence the answer is B. Next question. What is the least 4-digit number when divided by 3, 4, 5 and 6? You are dividing a bigger number by 3, 4, 5 and 6. When you are trying to divide a bigger number by 3, 4, 5 and 6, it is nothing but LCM problem. That is the trick here. Whenever you are trying to divide a bigger number by smaller numbers, that bigger number that is somewhere related to the LCM of these numbers. So first of all, find the LCM of these numbers. So 2, 2s, then 3s. Then go ahead with 3. Then 2 into 3 into 2 into 5. So this is nothing but 60. 60. So the number that you are finding, somewhere, that will be divisible by these numbers, and when you divide that number by these numbers, the remainder will be 2. So basically, when you get the LCM as 60, the number form will be 60n plus 2. 60n plus 2. So here you have to check a number. You have to check a number which is in the form 60n plus 2. So everywhere 2, 2, 2, 2 is there at the end. So we have to check the 60n. So if you take out 1010, is it divisible by 60? No. First of all, check the divisibility with 3. This is first of all not divisible by 3, hence it is not divisible by 60 also. Then 1020, yes, this is divisible by 60. 1120 not divisible by 20. 1220, that is also not divisible by 60. Hence the answer becomes 1020 plus 2, that is 1022. First of all, you have to understand this is LCM problem. Then you have to go for the further iteration. So LCM is 60, the number form will be 60n plus 2. Hence the answer is B here. Next question, what is the remainder? What is the remainder when this number is divisible by 100? So 51 into 27 into 35 into 62 into 75 divided by 100. Divided by 100. There are two ways here. One is like you can directly cancel in the sense 25 threes are and 25 fours are. 25 fours are. Then when you take 2 31s are and here 2 2s are. No other number is divisible by 2. Hence, what does it come? It is the product, a big product, which is odd. Because in these number, there is no even number. Hence, the product of all odd numbers will be odd number. Odd number divided by 2. Odd number divided by 2, the remainder will always be 1. But there is a trick in this question. So if you go like this, then the remainder is 1. Then the remainder is 1 in this one. Or this is nothing simplification. This is nothing but simplification. If you go with the product of this, you will get a bigger product. And you have to divide it by 100. In that case, the remainder changes. As I told, for getting 1 0 in the product, we have to have a club of 5 and 2. So in this, there is only 1 2. That is, there is only one even number whose factor is 2. And if you do any product, the end digit will be 0 only. And when you divide this big number with 100, either the remainder will be 0, or the remainder will be the multiple of 10, or the remainder will be with 0, or the remainder will be ending with 0. In the given options, 50 should be the answer. Here they are finding the remainder when divisible by 100. They are not asking the simplification. So in that case, this method will become wrong. So here they are asking the remainder when divisible by 100. Hence, this product will end with single 0, and we have to divide by 100. Then the remainder will also be with single 0 only, and among the given options, the 50 is the answer. You need not go to the correct remainder of this, because there is only one benefit of doubt, that is only one number ending with 0, that is 50. Next question. This is 10 to the power of n. This is 10 to the power of n plus 1. For what value of it? The sum of digits in the number 10 to the power of n plus 1 is 2. 10 to the power of n plus 1 is equal to 2. For what value of it? The sum of digits. Okay, leave out these things. The sum of digits in the number. Digits in the number means, like, for example, if you take n as 1, 10 to the power of n plus 1. So this is equal to 10 plus 1. This is equal to 11. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So take anything, take any power of n, so it will be this. So either it will be 1, 1, when n is equal to 2, it will become 101, then 1001, 10,001, 1 lakh 1. So like this, it will be growing. The first digit and the last digit will be 1. So they are asking for any whole number n, for any whole number. Whole number means what? It starts from 0 and end at infinity. So basically 0 to n. Even if you put 0 here, 10 to the power of 0 plus 1. 10 to the power of 0 is 1. 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. So even that holds. So you have to take all the whole numbers. All the whole numbers. Any whole number will give us the sum of the digits as 2. Hence, B is the answer. If you take this one, it is only the narrow answer when n equal to 0. If you take any positive integer, then also the value will be equal to 2. Any real number, n. Any real number, n. No. Any real number we cannot take. So any real number here will make this number as something else, and the sum can become anything. So this is also ruled out. These are too narrow interpretation of the question. Hence the answer is B here. Here the trick is what? To understand the pattern of 10 to the power of n plus 1. Understand the power of 10 to the power of n plus 1. That will give you the answer. Next question. How many pairs of natural numbers are there such that the difference of whose square is 63? The difference of whose square is 63. Here the basic thing or the trick that we have know is the difference between two consecutive squares. The difference between two consecutive squares is equal to 63. How many pairs of natural numbers are there such that the difference between whose squares is equal to 63? So simply they are asking like this. X square minus y square should be equal to 63. X square minus y square should be equal to 63. Here this is nothing but x plus y into x minus y is equal to 63. Is equal to 63. So we have to find out the value of x and y here. X and y, how many such pairs? So here what we have to understand is we have to go for the factors of 63. Factors of 63 if you go, so basically it is like this. 1 into 63, 1 into 63, then 3 into 21, then 7 into 9, then 9 into 7, that is number the same. 1 into 63, 3 into 21, 7 into 9. Here the trick is knowing the number of factors. Knowing the number of factors for the given number. We have 6 such factors and 6 such pairs will give us the product of 63. Now I will try to deduce here. Take 7 and 9. Can I put here 5 plus 4 and 5 minus 4? I'm sorry. Can I take here 4 plus 3 and sorry. This is 7 and 9. I'm sorry, 7 and 9. So can I take here 8 plus 1 and 8 minus 1? Can it give me the product of 63? Yes. Take 3 and 21. Take 3 and 21 here. If you take 15 plus, I'm sorry. If you take 12 plus 9 and 12 minus 9, it is equal to 63, 21 into 3. And finally, if you take here 32 plus 31 and 32 minus 31, this is also equal to 63. You need not do all these things at all. You need not do all these things at all. Just you have to know this. You have to know this. What they are asking, how many pairs of natural numbers? How many pairs of natural numbers? Definitely they can be fit here. They can be fit here. Take any such number, odd numbers, these odd numbers or even numbers in that case. So you can like this. Hence, the number of pairs is equal to 3. Here, the trick is knowing the number of factors and knowing the squares, knowing the squares. So whose squares is equal to 63. And this is basics of our algebra knowledge, x square minus y square. So with all the culmination of these basics, that is knowing x square minus y square, knowing the pattern of squares and knowing the number of factors will get us to this answer. And this is one of the toughest problems that was asked in this. And here, which one of the following will have minimum change in its value if s is added to both numerator and denominator of the fractions 2 by 3, 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 4 by 5 and 5 by 6. They are asking what will have the minimum change in its value if s is added to both numerator and denominator. If s is added to both numerator and denominator. When the values are small, so in this, if you look at the value of 2 by 3 is lesser. Value of 2 by 3 is lesser. If you add anything, if you subtract anything to this, if you add anything and if you subtract to anything to this, the change will be maximum. But if you come to the end of this spectrum, the change will be minimum. For the given fractions, the smaller fractions that we have in this fashion, they will yield to the maximum change when we try to manipulate with a number in both numerator and denominator, either by adding or subtracting. This will have the minimum change. For that matter, you can try anything. 2 by 3, I'll try to add 1 here and add 1 here. It will become 3 by 4. So 2 by 3 is nothing but 66% and 3 by 4, this is nothing but 70%. I'll take for this 5 by 6 is nothing but 83%. If I add 1 to this, so 5 plus 1 divided by 6 plus 1, this will be 6 by 7. So it will get me the result. So that is somewhere around 85%. So look at the change, 66 to 75%, here 83 to 85%. So the minimum change will occur at the highest value. Minimum change will occur at the highest value because it is reaching the saturation level earlier than the lowest value. Hence the answer is D here. Next question, a digit n is greater than 3. N greater than 3 is divisible by 3 but not divisible by 6. Which one of the following is divisible by 4? So here one n is there. This is not divisible by 3. This is not divisible by 3. And it is also it is divisible by 3. It is divisible by 3 and it is not divisible by 6. It is not divisible by 6. Which one of the following is divisible by 4? Which one of the following is divisible by 4? So here it is only divisible by 3. It is not divisible by 6. So try to put 3 in this place. It will become 6. Is it divisible by 4? No. Then put 3 here. It will become 9. Is it divisible by 4? No. Here put 3. 2 into 3, 6 plus 4, 10. Not divisible by 3. 3n plus 1. 3 into 3, 9. 3 into 3, 9 plus 1. This will also become 10. So let us read the question carefully. A digit n greater than 3. Okay, we cannot put 3. We cannot put 3 here. So n is always greater than 3. So the number greater than 3, which is divisible by 3, not divisible by 6. So the next number is 9. So the next number is 9. So try to put 9 here. Try to put 9 here. So 9, 2n, 2 into 9, 18, 3 into 9, 27, 2 into 9, 18 plus 4, 22, 3n plus 1, 3 into 9, 27 plus 1, 28. So this is divisible by 4. This is divisible by 4. Directly you have to substitute the value which is greater than 3 and meanwhile it is divisible by 3 also. So here this is just the trick with 3. Trick with 3. If you are very much familiar with 3 and 9, most of the number system problems will become easier to you. Next question. A vessel full of water. So this is vessel full of water weighs 40 kg. So here vessel plus water is giving me 40 kg. If it is 1/3 filled, vessel is 1/3. That means water is 1/3. So W by 3 and plus vessel is equal to 20. Full vessel 40, 1/3 vessel 20. So just we have to find out the weight of empty vessel. Weight of empty vessel. So here it is very simple. Minus, minus, minus. So here it is gone. W minus W by 3. It is 2W by 3 is equal to 20. Hence 2W is equal to 60. W is equal to 30. W is equal to 30. So substitute 30 here. Then the vessel will be 10 kgs. Vessel will be 10 kgs. This is the problem of linear equations in two variables. Linear equation in two variables. This is just either by substitution method or by elimination method we can solve the problem. This is one of the simplest problem that we had. Then one more problem. So that is the trickiest problem that we'll get, and time and again UPSC has done such questions. The frog tries to come out of dried well 4.5 meter deep. So the well is 4.5 meter deep with slippery walls. Every time the frog jumps 30 centimeter, and slips down by 15 centimeter. So in one jump and subsequent slip, so it is gaining only 15 centimeter. So in one jump and subsequent slip, it is gaining only 15 centimeter elevation. What is the number of jumps required for the frog to come out of the well? So here 4.5 meter. That means in centimeters, it is 450 centimeter. 450 centimeter. If you go by this calculation, every jump and slip, it will gain 15 centimeter. So 450 divided by 15 would give us 30 iterations, or this is nothing but 30 jumps and 30 slips. 30 jumps of 30 centimeter each and 30 slips of 15 centimeter each. But the trick is it's not equal to 30. It is not equal to 30. Why? I'll tell. After 28th jump, after its 28th jump, so it will gain what? After its 28th jump, 28 into 30, and its slip 28 into 15. So finally, it is equal to 28 into 15. So after its 28th jump, it will cross 420 centimeters. It will cross 420 centimeters, or it will reach 420 centimeter. In the 29th jump, so it was at 420 centimeter here. In its 29th jump, it will come to 450 meter. So what they are asking? Come out of well. When it crosses 450, then it is out of the well already. It is already out of the well. So in such cases, it is always the arithmetic what we get, and one less than that. Arithmetic what we get and one less than that. Here 30 iterations would have become, but here basically we have only 29 iterations, because in the 29th iteration, it will be out of the well. So like this, we had to deal in the whole paper. So I have discussed all the problems related to number systems here. So this year, as usual, we are trying to conduct the CSAT batch and giving more emphasis on the previous year papers, and we are including the number system as the prime chapter for the preparation. So we have nearly 60 to 70 hours of class, and in those classes, the similar manner, we will be showing you the tricks and tips, and we will be giving you the areas where you need to brush up. And we also will be giving the strategy to solve this CSAT paper, and definitely only with attempts of 55. If you attempt 55 with the right strategy, definitely you will get the marks of 66 for sure on any day, at any case. So this is how we are going to deal in our classes too. So basically, we'll not go with the formula way. Hardly we got one or two formulae in all these 25 problems. So basically, our method is to visualize the problem, personalize the problem, and go with the crude method. Go with the crude method in the sense, so whatever the visualization you had and whatever the basics you had, with that only we can solve the problems without memorizing much formulae. So this will be our approach. So our batch will be starting from 23rd November of 20. So 23rd November, 9 o'clock, we'll be having one open session for all the students. After that, you can register for the classes. But within 60 to 70 hours, make sure that we are going to get those 66 marks for you. And subsequently, after those classes, we'll be having 8 tests. So in those 8 tests, we'll be having 4 sectional tests and 4 comprehensive tests, which will give you enough practice. So what is at our disposal? So attending the classes and learning those tricks and shortcuts, and also practicing those 8 papers well to get through this paper. So I wish you all the best, and I hope none of you get stuck with this paper 2 in the forthcoming attempt, that is Civil Services Prelims Exam 2021. Until then, thank you very much and all the best.